All right. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource. First, as usual, before we get started, I'd like to give a disclaimer. This video is for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Please understand everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person to please do his or her own homework and research into the matter being discussed. This information is not to be construed as legal advice. In the event you feel you need to seek a competent professional, it is encouraged that you do so at one's own leisure. Everyone is responsible for their own affairs. Dorsey's Resource is not liable or responsible for any misuse of this information. These are simply my opinions on the topic. With that being said, all rights are reserved. Now, the topic of this video I wanted to get into is going to be called Capitus Deminutio, Maxima, and Civliter Mortuus. I might not have it fully pronounced. You'll see as the reasons why. And civil death, lost to sea. I want to touch on that, the basics. So this will also be key definitions to research and investigate, even though that's not in the title. I wanted to touch on what's kind of going on. This is redemption education to help those out from the previous videos. Also, big shout out to those who continue to follow me. I want to thank you all, appreciate you all who still are on standby when I've been away for a while. Sorry, apologize to come before you all late. I will try to work on coming to you all during the day sometime to bring some action-packed information that deals with the redemption education. Now, to get right into the meat and potatoes, I'm just going to go over the basic information based on how many people we have join. Will be contingent upon how long this video will go for. I'm also at what I call the slavery plantation. I like to refer to as a figure of speech. The Capitus Deminutio Maxima was used in Roman law, referring to extinguishing either in whole or in part of a person's former status and legal capacity. And you might say, question, well, how does that apply to today in our current society? And the reason I spelled it out, you'll see in the title, is for you guys for key definitions, which I've done a video in the past about to research and investigate, will help you all comprehend and see the legality aspect, what's going on. You know, in the court system, they use what's called legalese. Legalese is used to replace plain talk, but it's also used by lawyers, people within the legal profession, to draw up certain cases or language that they would not use in regular conversation or plain talk. You can look this up. Look up the term legalese on Wikipedia. Many of you are maybe already familiar with it. Now, there's those out there that to accuse this information of being a conspiracy, and I'm here to debunk that and show you through the title to see that I'm telling the truth and my information is factual and I'm not hiding behind a fake account. You're getting real facts here at Dorsey's Resource, where real facts actually matter. You're getting the truth, and I'm empowering you all by me spelling out the title, by the way, and the definition, so you all can look up whichever search engine to your liking, whether you use Google, Yahoo, whatever. That's up to you. But you will see the evidence by looking up the terminology, which is very important, very critical in learning this type of information. Many years ago, I did a lot of reading, by the way, and research, which helped me out. But these were there were three changes. This goes back to Roman law. So these concepts, there's those that tried to say that are not used anymore, are still used in practice within the legal profession covertly. They're using subterfuge, by the way. And you want to look up the definition of subterfuge to understand how they're getting away with certain things, the legality. But it's mainly the cabal, the evil cabal at the top that doesn't want this information to get out, or that certain individuals, they have gatekeepers, minions, underlinks, etc., who will accuse this information of being sovereign citizenry, which I don't use that term. That is an umbrella term that is used to discredit people from looking up, researching, investigating this type of information. I cover the legitimate side. I don't talk about the scams and stuff that do exist. However, there's a legitimate side that deals with the private sector and elite people and the way certain people, individuals in the private operate. And that's why there's a connection to the legal system, which I think, in my opinion, we should have all been learning in elementary school, middle school, at least at the very minimum. It's set up like a third party. And it's why you see many legal commercials where they're making big money, where they've captured control of people's linguses. And you can look up that term from my previous video. And when I covered that, by the way, how that ties in where you're doing business as the legal person. This is a fact. This is not hearsay. This is not rumor. This is not mythology or fairy tale, even though you have those things. If you like to read fiction novels, this is nonfiction. Difference, big difference. Fiction versus nonfiction. Yep. Hold on. Right.
All units, radio check.
Castleton. Okay, thank you. All right. Listen out for the radio. You guys know where I'm at.
That's good. Copy. Radio check complete. 0100.
Okay. So I'm back. I don't know how long I will be before you all, just to let you guys know, but I'm going over some action-packed information. And once again,
Castleton, I'm on site.
Okay, hold on. Oh. Okay, stand by. When you get a chance, you can meet me at MSDS.
That's good copy.
Okay. All right. So, there I have to wrap up real quick. By the way, so there were during this time period many years ago, there were three changes, a condition that were consequences that they used during the legal time during the Roman period, Roman law many years ago. You've ever heard the saying, all roads lead back to Rome? You had, there were different consequences. One was called Capitus Deminutio Maxima. You can look that definition up. The other was called Capitus Deminutio Media, and there was one called Capitus Deminutio Minima. This ties in with the term Civliter Mortuus, which you can look up the definition. That means the loss of death of almost all or civil rights. And in linguistics, you're doing business as the legal person account. This also deals with accounting. You're balancing the books. So if you call yourself a U.S. citizen, according to the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917, legally, which was further, it became into power under the Emergency War Powers Act of 1933, you are legally an enemy of the state. But however, there was remedy that was supposed to be provided at the same time, where the criminal cabal, the bad guys, the people that are trying to suppress this information, you know, the way they set this up, the way they did, when people complain why certain remedies or things don't work. Sometimes you have gatekeepers, minions, and underlings. Sometimes they're not educated properly. However, there was still remedy that was supposed to be provided. I see someone, I'm gonna answer a question in the chat. By the way, I don't have a lot of time. My supervisor is on site. By the way, sometimes it happens like this, but I will come back before you guys and, you know, get you guys information. Says Chris Ledford says, which law dictionary would you suggest? Not one in particular. I would say, in my opinion, Black's Law 6th edition, 4th edition is very good. Bouvier's dictionary, but get a hold of as many dictionaries as you can. You can also find law dictionaries for free. I know money is an issue for some of you guys because they use debt as their weapon. That's a whole nother video. They use the monetary banking system as a weapon. So you can look up PDF definition, what do you call dictionaries? Excuse me, online for free and download, possibly, if they still are on there, by the way. Michael Lansky says Black's Law Bouvier is correct. Thank you. Chris Ledford says, I hear making claims is a trap, so best to try not to make claims. Yes, there are different strategies. As I said in my previous video, just like martial arts, by the way, you have a style where like called Tai Chi versus karate, or newer styles like Krav Maga, Wing Chun, where Tai Chi, you're redirecting your opponent's movement. Bruce Lee also kind of mentioned the style in a movie called, trying to think of the name of that movie with Mr. Hans. I believe it was called Enter the Dragon, where he said to the guy on the boat when they were on their way to the private island, just using this as an example from the movie, he said, I practice the art of fighting without fighting. So there's a strategy to avoid the court system. Since the gatekeepers, minions, and underlings are not being fair, there's a way to remove yourself from the contracts. They cannot force you, or you cannot be forced to enter into certain contracts. Everything that we get involved with deals with contracts. So the reason I'm here, Dorsey's Resource, to be a resource to break this down to the purest form, and the reason I'm going over these definitions is to help provide better clarification as to the traps that they've set, so you guys have a clear comprehension. And some of the things that I studied, giving you some of the secrets. I'm sharing how I researched and read a lot of documents years ago, and these definitions are important. So I went over the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917, which was strategically set up not too long after the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, but it didn't become implemented until under the Emergency War Powers Act of 1933. Then the Erie Railroad versus Tompkins case of 1938 changed most of the court systems in this country from common law, the private side act that deals with equity, to color of law, de facto statutory courts. You see the difference, statutory versus non-statutory. So you went from common law to more corporate, and then big corporations took over and they outsourced and hurt the people. By the way, that was never meant to happen. It's mainly the corporations and the banks. Remember, presidents just hold offices. When the Democrats and Republicans play this game and they point the finger at each other, just keep that in mind. By the way, in reference to something I heard from the governor, she really needs to be talking about the Federal Reserve, the banking system. And I referenced a good example to a friend of mine earlier. I used JP Morgan Chase as an example. When I did some research, kudos to a sister that used to go by a channel named Extra Light. I believe she may have changed the name again. It's been a while since I've spoken to her. And kudos to her, she put me up on this when I was doing research about the cryptocurrency. And she said, look this up. Did you know JP Morgan back in the late 90s took out a patent to have a legal anonymous currency legally? Now think about this. I'm not going to say, but what currency do you know is like anonymous? They took out a patent for it. This is the same JP Morgan Bank as an elder that I studied with at these private meetings I used to attend years ago that put me up on purchasing physical gold and silver, that said that this same bank entity had been buying up large portions of gold and silver behind the scenes, by the way. And I also heard even cryptocurrencies, by the way. Just something to think about. And the same entity is not only under the Federal Reserve, but remember there was an article that came out sometime last year, not too long ago, where they have a hedge fund that owned a cargo ship that was caught with drugs on it. Just something to think about. Remember former Governor Jesse Ventura, former governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, who used to have a show on True TV, mentioned about following the money trail. You see, facts. You see, facts matter. Real facts. And not someone who's hiding behind a fake account. You have a real person that's giving credible information, by the way. You see how I've connected dots. So and there's more I could go over, but I was having a conversation. Mentioned this to a friend I was speaking with earlier, and he got all the questions right, the way I stated it. Just something to think about. So it's not when they point the finger at CC, it's the president, when you have previous ones who've done far worse and other people done things way far worse. But you got to point to the banks in particular and the Federal Reserve. By the way, it's just something to think about. And it's encrypted within the CRIS accounts in the court system. That stands for Court Registry Investment System. CRIS accounts. And then the county uses CAFR, which is an acronym for Comprehensive Annual Financial Reports, by the way. Mighty funny. So even when people die, they have people voting because they consider you civically dead, lost at sea. They take over the decedent estate. So this is important to look up these definitions. Capitus Deminutio Maxima was used in Roman law. This is important to look that up. Look up the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917. Look up how it applies to U.S. corporate citizens. Even the 14th Amendment. This is also tied in with the Emergency War Powers Act. So I'm giving you guys homework since I'm on limited time. By the way, I'm getting ready to wrap things up. So the decedent in the state was like someone collects on the assets owned by the decedent after someone died or passed away, and they have to pay the debt or taxes off that's owed, and then the remaining property is transferred to them, by the way. And that's, look up Civliter Mortuus. That's in the title, description of the video, by the way. And that's civil death. And this ties in with accounting, by the way. The general GAC is, I believe, GAACP, something like General Accepted Rules of Accounting. There's a private side ledger. You have debits and credits. It's double entry bookkeeping. Debits and credits, it's a dual ledger based system. Public versus private, debits and credits, accounts receivable, accounts payable. That's why I mentioned the courts have the CRIS accounts where they fractionalize, where off when you hire an attorney, you're declaring yourself incompetent. You give them your social security number, they can have power of attorney over your signature, and then claim and access the cash, the currency from your social security or your private exemption account. On a private side, your auto tris. And there's a company, I believe, named, don't quote me on it, you have to do the research, Payne and Weber and some other companies that audit the private side books of banks, by the way, because this also deals with accounting. So you see how I've connected the pieces. So before I shut things down, look up the definition and research and the definition of the word person, by the way. Please research and investigate individual in the Black's Law Dictionary. Look up natural person, corporation. This will take you down a rabbit hole, but will give you the evidence, solidified facts, reputable information that's credible and coming from someone who's not hiding behind a fake account or using a pseudonym name, where you can see a real person, by the way, where real facts do matter. So you also can look up color of law. Look up title, United States Code Title 28. And I did give a disclaimer, so this is not legal advice. These are my opinions based off my research. Please look up Title 28, Section 3002, subsection 15A, B, and C of the United States Code. It unequivocally states the United States is a federal corporation. You also want to look up juristic person. Juristic person, I'll repeat it again. Look up the definition of a state. Look up in lingus. Look up res, R-E-S, that's tied in with Title 9 of the United States Codes, where they using Admiralty, Admiralty's military, maritime as law of the seas, where they consider you a vessel of the United States, by the way. Just checking the time there. So I'm getting ready to shut things down. So just something to keep in mind. Also look up what United States means in some of the older versions, and look up District of Columbia, by the way, which deals with that 10-mile square radius. But legally, these are things where these gatekeepers and liars come out here and fabricate information and make up misinformation. I'm here to debunk that and give you guys credible stuff where I'm going legally. So look up District of Columbia, the 10-mile square radius, the legal implications and the legality behind some of these things. People try to twist stuff when they have an ulterior motive. When there's gatekeepers that want you looking over there, they want you dumbed down, and they don't want you learning, waking up and learning the real true information, by the way. Already went over Erie Railroad versus Tompkins case in 1938. Please look that up. Edward G. Griffin was credible with Creature from Jekyll Island, by the way. Let me see, there's others out there, names that I would like to mention. I can't think of offhand. Judge Anna Von Ritz is credible, by the way. Judge Dale, the information he went over was credible, by the way. David Windmiller is credible, by the way, contrary to popular belief. If you tie in what I went over already previously, these were credible people. Sometimes people, when you study different people, you can connect the puzzle, the pieces together and form the full picture. You want to look up resolution number 75, which you can get from the National Archives, even some of the local archives in certain states, by the way. I won't go into all that. Look up, this ties in with the Dred Scott case, where there's a difference with melanated people, people of color, and there's different patterns, different processes that deals with redemption. Not all roads lead down the same pathway. Not everything is the same. You have like different strokes for different folks. That's why I give in my disclaimer. Everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. There's also different processes, procedures, by the way. Look up legal entity, by the way. Look up legal person. Look up, these definitions are important. Legal person. On YouTube, you also want to look up, check out if these people are still around. Rob Ryder, his channel has excellent work. Tex Mason, Yusuf L, Eon, Kelby Smith. I follow Eon for a while. That's Brett Jones Legal Redress Commission, by the way. Kelby Smith, his Advocates YouTube channel, if it's still up. Because, you know, they shut Imro's channel down. And Imros, if you're out there, anybody who knows him, if he decides to come back to YouTube, let the brother know you will have a fellow ally. And I will share your videos with my subscribers. Just remember, next time, guys, find software screen capture to download these videos as evidence, because they're going to try down the road, just saying, in case they try to pull evil, wicked stuff like this, when these gatekeepers and minions and underlinks and government shields and deep state operatives attack, we have evidence, by the way, and fight back. And they can't stop an army of people, by the way. They try to come after one person, but, you know, there's a whole nother thing coming. Just to give you guys ammunition, this is facts that I go over. But these are credible people that I've researched, and I have studied this information for years, so I have the experience. And as you guys obviously see, I work in a law enforcement capacity on a lower level. I started, just to let you guys know, by the way, a little bit of my business, because I'm open up front with you guys before I shut things down, by the way, which I'm getting ready to do. I want to thank you guys for joining me, for taking the time to watch this video. I'm your host, John Dorsey. You're joining me at Dorsey's Resource. I'm currently live. You can follow me on Facebook at Dorsey's Resource. I'm on YouTube at Dorsey's Resource. Obviously, I'm also on Twitter at Dorsey's Resource. And I did just come back from a major surgery, January 27th. I want to say the procedure was a success. By the way, there were potential, how can I put it, things that could have occurred, as always, with any type of surgery. But similar to what the pimple doctor does, Dr. Lee, similar to her work. I won't go into maybe all the details, but I had something like that done. By the way, some of my friends, close friends, family members know about it, by the way, but I want to let you guys know I'm back. That's why I was gone for a while. Also wanted to say rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. By the way, I was shocked, devastated. I found out the night before my surgery procedure, by the way. Was devastated. My condolences. That's why I put out a message on my Facebook, Twitter. My condolences sincerely go out to his family. Hashtag Laker Nation, all the basketball fans out there. And I want to say, I was somebody who really admired Kobe, and I pulled for the Lakers. The last time he won the championship, I was a big fan. I actually called in a radio station locally here in Michigan, Detroit, called 97 Won the Ticket. Talked to a guy named Jason Gotch, and I lobbied on Kobe's behalf when the Lakers beat the Boston Celtics, and Kobe pulled it out at that home victory with Ron Artest, Derek Fisher, and I called in to lobby on Kobe's behalf that the Lakers fans didn't complain when Boston Celtics fans were salty and whining that Kendrick Perkins got hurt. I said when Boston had beat the Lakers some years prior and Andrew Bynum was hurt, they weren't complaining about that. And Jason Gotch from 97 Won the Ticket agreed with me to show you I'm a true Lakers fan, but more currently, you know, rooting for the Warriors. I still follow the NBA, but I'm a fan of the sport in general, by the way. So I want to say my condolences to Kobe. To you guys out there, stay woke. Rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle as well. The marathon continues. Be strong in this. Everyone out there, I'm your host, John Dorsey. Until next time, thank you for joining me. Have a blessed night. Deuces. Take care.